How is it going, everybody, and welcome to the next Speedrun interview. Today, I am interviewing someone from the James Bond speedrunning community, Aleckermit.
Hello.
Alright, starting off with the first question. Why did you start speedrunning?
In general, I started speedrunning because I stumbled upon Speed Demos Archive probably around 2007, and I started following Runner Guy 2489 and Mr. Gruns, who ran Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, respectively. And so I always wanted to do that, but it was kind of complicated. So I wanted to start my own speedrun game, and so when Dead Space came out in 2008. I picked that up, played through it like 2.5 times, liked it a lot, and started doing a segmented speedrun of that. So, yeah, I kind of wanted to be like my idols at the time.
Did you ever manage to, at any point, get as good as your idols for you personally?
I wouldn't say so. I did compete in Ocarina of Time any percent against Runner Guy, Pokey, and a couple others, Cosmo, also known as Narcissa Wright. I don't think I ever got as good as them. I was kind of like the third place guy, maybe. But I was proud with what I accomplished in that game.
Yeah, I was kind of the same way. I tried to be the best with Plankton's Robotic Revenge with one of the with one of the categories on that one. all right, buddy. What games are you currently speedrunning, and what games do you plan on speedrunning in the future?
Well, the only game I'm speedrunning now, and this has been the case for a while, is 007 Agent Under Fire. That's like my baby. I feel like I'm kind of like the ambassador for that game's speed culture. And when I do speedrun it, sometimes I go months between attempting anything with that game.
Wow.
So it's just something I always come back to, and I think I've submitted some recorded speedrun of that game for every year for the past, would it be like 12 years? So 12 or 13 years, yeah.
Wow, you've been speedrunning that game for a long time.
Long time. But as far as going into the future, I don't have any plans. But you never know if the right game comes along that really sparks my interest. I also am very interested in like just assisting in speedrunning, like finding tricks, routing, helping others speedrun. I've done that a good bit too, and I think I enjoy that actually more than actually um, creating speedruns.
Which made me think of this question. How do you not get bored speedrunning the same game for so long?
That's a great question, and I don't know if I know how to answer that, to be honest. Like, certain games I've just had an affinity for. I think having good variety in gameplay goes a long way. Like, Agent Under Fire is very much like a variety game where it's on foot. Some of the levels are action, some are stealthy. You've got driving missions, you've got on rail shooting. So I think that variety helps a lot to where like I can grind out an action level and then like just do a driving level and kind of completely change it up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And also, some shooters, like Agent Under Fire, can have a lot of possibility with many different outcomes, especially considering a lot of AI and shooters can be very random.
Yeah, and that's one thing that interests me a lot, like trying to solve the puzzle of the AI in shooters, like figuring out like if you move to the right, like right when you enter this room, 90% of the time the AI will do X, will do a certain thing. And you can really, because games are not truly random, you can really manipulate the AI if you are precise enough with your actions. And that's really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool thing to do. What glitches, skips, and also tricks would you say has been the easiest and also the hardest for you to perform?
The easiest in Agent Under Fire, which people probably wouldn't think is the easiest or the lowest stress, is probably the one at the end of Streets of Bucharest. So you're in a tank, and the very last shot of the level, you have to fire this. You have to fire your cannon to hit this explosive tank that's on the train, and it looks like really tight timing and scary, but it's actually pretty much impossible to fail if you just know what you're doing. And the hardest is probably for the IL of Fire and Water. At the very end of the level, you have to fire a grenade up into the air at a certain angle, count in your head exactly 5 seconds, and then fire a grenade at your feet so that both grenades go off at the exact same time and give you enough knockback to send you up in the air, combined with a jetpack boost to get high enough to land on the tower and then climb to the top of the tower. And yeah, it's like it's at the end of the IL. It's very stressful and it's you have to have very good timing to pull it off. And you can get sniped on your climb up. So yeah, it's pretty hard.
That trick is a major run killer for you, isn't it?
Well, yeah, well, no one's ever attempted it in a full game, but yes, for the IL, absolutely. It's like that's gonna work or it's not. Usually it doesn't.
Man, just a side comment, I really love video games where explosions can give you a boost up into the air because it gives so much opportunity for skips throughout the game.
Yeah, absolutely. And Agent Under Fire, I think it got super lucky in that it has that attribute since the GameCube version is the only one that has the explosion boost physics in the single player mode. In all the other versions of the game, it's only present in multiplayer as like a fun thing. So we just totally lucked out somehow.
Man, I had a lot of fun with that mechanic in an indie game called Seed of the Dead Sweet Home, which is basically like an anime version of Left 4 Dead.
Okay, never heard of it.
Okay. What are some games that you were shocked to see others do speedruns of?
To see others do speedruns of?
Yes, sir.
Maybe like Burn the Rope. You have to burn the rope, I think it's called.
Burn the rope.
Yeah, it's the one where like literally the instructions are on screen. You just run and jump on top of a chandelier and like drop the chandelier on this big monster. And it was supposed to be like a meme game, I think, but people actually speedran it to the point of like, decimal points, hundredths of a second, and it's basically like an auto scroller, I think, at this point. But I think it's amazing that people speedrun like 8-hour-long RPGs.
Oh my
I
god.
would never try my hand at that.
Yeah, it shocked me when I saw speedruns of the Tales of series. I'm not sure if you heard of that.
Sure, yeah. And like Bait and Kaidos. Those are long.
Oh my god, some of the longest speedruns I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's like 14 hours. Okay, I guess that's a speedrun. I guess the casual play is like 100.
Yeah, when you compare the casual time to the speedrun time, you can definitely call it a speedrun.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I have no doubt. But like as far as watchability, holy cow, you got to really be into it. Maybe watch it in parts.
Now, since you only speedrun James Bond Agent Under Fire, I don't know if these next two questions is gonna cause the same answer. What was the hardest speedrunning challenge you've ever done for yourself?
Yeah, I can probably answer that. One of the hardest for sure is Agent Under Fire 100%, the full game speedrun. It's a category we just added like this year, and basically you have to go from a fresh file to unlocking everything, so all gold rewards and platinum rewards, like everything that the game has available. And yeah, it's about an hour and 40-minute long, and you have to memorize like the route for every level twice because you have to play every level twice. So I think that really pushes my brain to the limit. It's all that routing, 24 levels with all different routes to memorize.
Okay, and now the other question I was thinking of, it's probably gonna be like the category you just mentioned. Like, what was the longest speedrun you've ever done? Like, how long was it?
Agent Under Fire 100% is close, but the longest would be Superman 64 Superman mode. I was the first person that speedran Superman 64, like submitted a recording of it, the full game. And on Superman difficulty, you play through the entire thing. And my first attempts were like 2 hours and 8 minutes, something like that. I think I got it down to like 153. I personally don't enjoy like long speedruns, so that's the longest I've ever done.
I'm impressed that someone would even speedrun that game. Didn't that game like have like horrible like controls, mechanics, and just like a horrible history in general?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's one of the reasons I picked it up. You know, like it was notorious for being terrible. And I remember the AVGN was like, "Oh, I can't even control this thing. I don't know how anyone could." And that was kind of my challenge. Like, "Oh, I can do this." You know, I've speedran Shadows of the Empire. People complain about those controls, so I was like, I can master Superman's flying," and so that was kind of my reason for doing that game.
I'm absolutely impressed with you, bud.
It was a bit of a miserable experience, to be honest. Like, I only did about 8 full attempts to the end, and the last one was 153, and I was like, I'm done. My mental health is gone.
I can understand that. What is your biggest goal in speedrunning?
I think, like I said before, like just being a good ambassador for speedrunning. I don't think a lot of people know, but speedrunning is my favorite form of entertainment. Like, I watch speedruns so much, like more than movies, more than TV shows. So, like, if you're a speedrunner, especially if you're like the top speedrunner in a game, and it's fairly well known, I have probably watched your speedrun. So just like, yeah, just like helping people get into the hobby, helping people learn tricks, and just like being a support, especially for Agent Under Fire, which I feel like is just a super deep and high skill ceiling game.
Uh, like how much fun do you have like making speedrun related content for the game?
Quite a bit. Although, if you looked at my YouTube channel, there's not a whole lot there. I'd say like 90% of my speedrun videos are actually unlisted. So I don't make my ILs public. They just go to speedruns.com. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. The end product is really what I do it for.
Okay. Do you ever hope to create a history video on the game, like a world record history video?
I kind of have. There's a YouTube video called Agent Under Fire World Record IL compilation 2022 or something like that, 2021. I can't remember when I made it. But it basically, at the start of each of the 12 missions, goes through a speedrun history of like where the time started, where they ended up, and how they got there. So that's probably about as far as I'll go. But maybe one day, something a little like higher production, I could see that.
And to be honest, I would love to try and do a history video on the discovery of skips and glitches. I've done that with a couple of niche games so far, and I have fun with that. But videos like that are very difficult for me to make.
They are difficult, yeah. Lots of time and research.
Okay. It's usually hard for me to think of questions for this interview, but that's all I got for this one.
All right.
And I really appreciate you, Aleckermit, for becoming a part of my series.
No problem. I enjoy your videos. Thank you.
And thank you. If any of you guys would like to check out Aleckermit, I'll leave a link to his Twitch and YouTube in the description down below. And also, if you guys would love to check out his history videos on those ILs, I'll leave a link to that video in the description as well. Alright, thanks again everybody for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. Goodbye everyone.